Hello everyone, it's Stray Faye here with another episode of Variable Barricade. We're almost done with Ichiya's route, so what's going on? The imposed time limit is upon us. We're quite familiar with this, with like some of the other routes. So there's like the ultimatum that if Hibari does not wholeheartedly choose Ichiya, she'll have to, by default, pick the other choice, which in this case is Kazuya. Makes no sense, but okay, we'll go along with that. So Ichiya's gonna take her out on one more date to try to get his feelings across. So let's see how, if these are short, we might actually be done. Actually get done with this whole route. We might just like lump in the ending with this and make it like a super long episode, but let's see. Why me? With our time together coming to an end, Ichiya finally confesses to me, but at that moment, what's going to go on? On our last date, when Ichiya asked, I walked over to his car and got in without hesitation. This opportunity was far too important to pass up. After reflecting deeply on my feelings, I'd finally found something. Oh gosh, my heart is pounding. Grandfather's shouting and the shock of having a hard time limit had left me feeling deflated only a few moments ago, but now... What will happen now? Am I feeling so anxious because I have hopes for what he might be about to tell me? Hibari. We'd driven in silence for quite some time before Ichiya finally spoke. I sat up quickly and looked at him. We rolled to a stop at a traffic signal that had just turned red. He used this chance to look over at me. I heard about Christmas Eve. Sounds like Kazuya is making himself into a problem again. I'm sorry. Him saying this was our last date should have tipped me off that he found out about that. That must be why he suddenly came to get me this evening. I felt a twinge in my heart. You don't have to apologize for him, Ichiya. It took too much more effort than I thought to say that. I could almost see the steely determination hiding behind the wistful look in his eyes. He was going to confess to me again today, and he knew it would be for the last time. It was his last chance, and mine. He was putting everything on the line. I racked my mind, wishing I had something I could respond with, but... So, where are we going? The words that I eventually managed sounded hesitant and dull. You'll see when we get there. Ichiya turned his eyes back to the road. The light turned green. We drove on, and the sun slowly sank below the horizon. The sky faded from orange to purple to black. Night fell, but we kept on driving. Eventually, we arrived at... Is this where I think it is? The familiar scenery started to give me an inkling of what might be coming. My hunch was correct. Memories of what had happened that night must have crossed Ichiya's mind. I knew they were running through mine. And we're gonna have like a repeat date where he like gave the smooch, the out of nowhere smooch. Neither of us said a word. Our feet simply carried us to the same place we visited that night. The same view as that night, the same place. This is almost too much to believe. I felt so awkward, I had trouble looking at Ichiya. He gave me a wan smile. Haha, every time I come here, my cheeks start burning in sympathy. You were the one who brought me here. Looking at him, I decided to, tease him. We tease him. Oh, funny you mentioned that. My palms have been burning since we walked over here too. I replied to him, making no effort to hide my sarcasm. Ichiya blinked at me in surprise, then. He chuckled, shaking his head. Are you sure you wanted to come here? And I mean, like, the other date motif was also like a redo of their first date, so I guess this is like a redo of their second date. Try to paint over the cringe memories. This was our last date, after all. I let Ichiya's comment slide, surprising even myself with that remark. He just nodded. Yeah, this is the best place, for better or worse. The night we came here marked a big turning point for me. Oh. That must have broken the ice for Ichiya, because I could see the tension lift from his shoulders as he spoke. That brought a small smile to my lips. I wonder if you would be surprised to hear me say that it was a turning point for me too. I quietly hoped that one day I'd have a chance to tell him about it. This feels so odd. There's no pressing need to keep talking. We stood there in silence, but it wasn't uncomfortable. At the same time, I could feel Ichiya's presence radiating next to me. Yes, this was very much a date atmosphere, just like the night we kissed. I'd been caught so unawares by the mood, I let myself get carried away. Growing emotional, the things I wanted to ask him were accidentally left dangling half-said. Huge blanks left for him to fill in. I need to keep my wits about me. Yeah, no. Have another repeat of the smooch. Like Kazu said, I can't put the whole burden of finding an answer onto Ichiya. I have to think for myself. I couldn't let the mood carry me away again. I had to listen to every word he said, then consider each one thoroughly. I couldn't let any uncertainty remain. You know, I think that was the first time I'd gotten so pushy with you. Ichiya's timely comment snapped me out of my thoughts, bringing me back to the here and now. I looked at him. You asking me about my past threw me off balance. The first thing I thought of was to distract you. I don't know if my gaze felt accusatory to him, but he looked away from me guiltily. After pulling a stunt like that, calling Kazuya pushy is like the pot calling the kettle black. First kisses are special, but they should be part of our best memories. But I had to go and take yours like a no good thief. Yes, but you've already apologized for it. I know you mean it too. And you just see you sobbed and sobbed. And you like let your poor heart out. All the apologies in the world won't give that moment back to you. I wish I could go back in time and deck myself right in the face. And yet, that fiasco eventually let me show you who I really am. I like that. Ichiya straightened up and turned to face me, taking one small step forward. His eyes told me that the time had finally come. Will I be able to take this? The words and faces of the people who had given me advice and warnings flashed through my head. Did I truly feel love for Ichiya? Not simply pity or sympathy. Was I choosing him because he was the one I wanted? Or was he a convenient escape hatch from an arranged political marriage? I couldn't stand here and wait for someone to set everything up for me like afternoon tea. If I wanted this future with him, I had to reach out and grab it. Oh, after all, what Ichiya felt for me was love. Pure love in the truest sense of the word. He wanted to be with me more than anyone else in the world. Who dis? Yeah, I bet he has some major anxiety problems if he thinks someone doesn't love him. What? Something gnawed at the back of my mind. What was it? Hibari. Ichiya started to speak, completely unaware of my inner struggle. Looking back, I've done nothing but annoy you, make you angry, or embarrass you, Hibari. Yeah, you definitely did not give the best impression over all the guys. I even let you see me curled in a ball, sobbing my eyes out. That's the last thing any man wants someone to see. We stood surrounded by beautiful scenery as he delivered each word with earnest sincerity. But no matter how far I fell, no matter how pathetically I acted, you never gave up on me. Not once. You got annoyed at my constant failures, sure. But you'd always wait for me to get back up on my feet. Softly, gently, Ichiya reached forward, shaking his shaking hands engulfed my own. He was clearly beyond nervous, and his nerves infected me. My body went stiff as I struggled with the need to take deep breaths. Yes, I did volunteer to be your suitor out of sheer desire, to take a swing at Kazuya. I admit it. But that was then. I don't feel that way now. You smiled at me and accepted me for who I am, even when my own family rejected me. You said that you liked me for myself. You may have said that out of pity or sympathy at the time, but I don't care. Ichiya's words echoed in my ears and reverberated deep inside of me. He wasn't holding anything back. He was delivering the raw, unvarnished truth. He looked down for a moment, taking a quick, purposeful breath, and then... Hibari, I love you from the bottom of my heart. You're kind and gentle, but you can be measured and stern when the situation calls for it. Please, please let me be your husband. Ichiya, I'm begging you to be my wife. Ichiya looked me in the eye, his words clear and confident. He is more open, sincere, and frankly attractive than he'd ever been before. In fact, he looked so dignified that I felt a firm tug at my heartstrings. And yet... no words came out. Oh no! It wasn't that I was stunned speechless. It wasn't that I was too overwhelmed with happiness to find words. It wasn't any of that. Why? Why can't I just smile and say yes? I mean, this is like kind of very unfair for Hibari because this is her first time at love, and they're literally giving her no time to sort out her feelings and is this real love? Am I just feeling things because of the moment? I hate this whole crafted situation here. And the pressure, and she has to say yes or else she has to go with the other option. That had to have been the perfect confession. I couldn't have asked for anything more of him. Yet something inside of me was getting in the way, stopping my hands from reaching for his. Seeing me standing as stiff and frozen as a statue must have made Ichiya start to worry. I could see anxiety creep into his expression. Hibari? Why aren't you saying anything? I could hardly explain it when I didn't understand it myself. Wait. My silence didn't help matters at all. I watched his face grow paler and paler as his anxiety doubled and redoubled. Was that not enough? Wait, no. That isn't what I... Are my feelings still not reaching you? Oh no! He started grasping straws in desperation. He's like, what do I have to do to make you choose me? But this is unfair for both of them. This arbitrary time limit. Ichiya held me close, his arms quivering. I said everything there is to say. I've laid myself bare. I've nothing left to hide from you. What the hell is wrong then? What the hell could possibly be missing? His arms started quivering hard. His voice rose to a heart-wrenching wail. I only grew more confused. I mean, there was nothing more that I could want from him. I had no idea what was stopping me. Please, Hibari, tell me. I'm begging you. What do I have to do to make you love me? His desperate wail echoed in my ears, and something inside me finally reverberated in response. He's clinging too hard. Make me love him. Click. I could almost hear the sound bounce around in my head. Whatever piece of my heart had sat askew for so long finally fell into place. No matter how hard I try, nobody loves me. I just want to be loved by anyone. I tried to work for it. I tried to learn how to make people happy so they'd love me. Is it truly you he cares for? Or would he be happy with anyone, so as long as they feed him the love he's desperate for? I think that deserves some careful consideration on your part. Oh. I know now. For better or for worse. Does it have to be me? The question that had been lodged inside me for so long finally exited my mouth. Huh? I felt the arms wrapped around me twitch and stiffen in surprise. But I knew now. I knew what the problem was, and cold as my words were, I couldn't stop them from coming out. I understand how you feel, and honestly, I'm very flattered. But I'm not confident I trust your feelings. I knew my words would hurt him immensely. I knew it well. But I owed him the same honesty he showed me, and there was no sugarcoating the truth. Are you sure that you aren't just looking for someone? Anyone. To love and accept you? If another woman happened to see you when you're vulnerable and still accept you for it, if she was nicer than me and cared even more than me, are you sure you wouldn't pick her instead? That was the unease that had rooted deep inside me. That was what made me hesitate to take his hand, no matter how much I'd wanted to. Then, why does it have to be me? It doesn't really, right? The arms that clutched at me so desperately slowly went limp and slid away. Ichiya staggered one step backward, and I finally saw his expression. It was pure despair. I'm sorry. But I'm scared too. What would happen if I took your hand? If I let you love me? Only for you to leave me later? I wanted to trust him. I wanted to reciprocate his feelings. I honestly did. And yet, I couldn't join him as long as those misgivings took up residence in the back of my mind. Ichiya, please tell me, why does it have to be me? If that one doubt could be alleviated, then I was sure I could love him. And that would solve everything. I looked up at Ichiya, quietly waiting and praying. He looked back at me, despair seeping deeper and deeper into his features. I waited, but he never gave me an answer. The chill winter air blew through the space between us, sapping the warmth from my heart. That told me our time was done. Our final date had ended on the worst possible note. This just ends like that. Why me? No! Are we... Is this supposed to be on track to the good ending? I guess she does have a point though. Like, Like, Ichiya didn't, like, start this marriage game because it was, like, love at first sight or something. And yeah, that is a valid concern. Like, as long as someone gave him the love he so desired. Like, it could be, like, technically any woman. Like, he was ready to marry all his other ex-girlfriends, but then they dumped him before that. But yeah, it's like the time limit is just, like, kind of unfair to both of them. I feel like if they have more time, the relationship can grow, they can get, like, they can, like, ease into the relationship and not try to, like, shove it down each other's throats. Okay, this is really frustrating me. This is gonna, like, break Ichiya. Okay, I'm, like, kind of hurting here. The same familiar pain. Tired of the disaster between Ichiya and I. The others give me a piece of their minds. Okay, so the guys are gonna chip in. Hopefully, like, Ichiya doesn't, like, fall into despair again, lock himself in his room. He doesn't have much time left. Are they, like, really gonna go all the way up to Christmas? It's gonna be like a Nayata situation. He's gonna, like, have to, like, break into the venue. Alright, let's begin this event. Despite the bright chirping of the birds outside, my morning was bleak and dreary. I hadn't slept a wink. Eventually, I heaved my body out of bed. I dressed mechanically as my fuzzy mind wandered. I wonder what Ichiya's doing. I didn't have the first clue about how I was supposed to interact with him. Ironically, the usual roles we fell into after one of these awkward debacles were reversed. Miss Hibari, you've slept far past your usual wake-up time. Kasuga, please, could you leave me be for now? And how long do you plan for now to be? I flinched. Kasuga was being unusually persistent today. And strict, too. I could hear his voice that he was not going to permit me to look away from the reality I'd helped create. I think it would be for the best that you come out of your room as soon as possible, Miss Hibari. It isn't as if staying cooped up will give you the solutions you seek. That's not fair. Then Taiga's route, you gave her, like, a whole week off to, like, recuperate. I know that, Kasuga. I know. It's just... Nayata. Oh! She said she knows, Taiga. Did you hear that? Yep, every word. What? What are those two doing up here? Did Kasuga bring them up? There's no lock on the door from my study room into this bedroom. I had a sinking feeling about who was coming in next. Mr. Yagami, could you please start the countdown? Wait, what? What? I can do that. 5, 4, 3, 2. Please don't, like, manhandle her out of the room. Okay, I get it. I'll get dressed. Just wait out there, would you? I had no choice but to wave the white flag at the men huddled outside my door. I hurriedly got dressed and stepped out of my room. Wow, like, no consideration in this route. Like, Taiga's route is like, alright, take a week off sick. And then she, like, literally got sick. Hesitantly, I made my way down to the living room. Walking inside, I quickly recognized I had walked into a court of inquiry, and I was being cross-examined. So yeah, yesterday's date. We don't have to ask to know how it turned out. Yes, both you and Ichiya came home looking like death warmed over Hibari. So what was wrong with Ichiya? I was super sure that the two of you would hit a home run this time. Okay, that's not, I don't know if you know what that you think that means, but if you would, please explain what happened. Did Mr. Mori fail in some fashion? No. If they already knew what had happened, there was little point to trying to hide it. I gave in and began to explain everything that had happened last night. Whoa. Things are going that well and you cut him off there? Seriously? I had an inkling things weren't going to go well, but I never imagined they'd go so poorly. I don't know much about love, but Ichiya's confession sounded pretty cool to me. Do you have a big reason for saying no to such an awesome, cool confession, Hibari? Well, yes, I mean... People only get one chance in their life to find true love. Is that what you were gonna say? Tiger rolled his eyes and sighed dramatically. I mean, it's not like we were looking to be his like first or something, but I mean, a lot of this just kind of feels forced because of the time limit. Like if the time limit wasn't there, it'd just be more natural. Babe, really? That overly sentimental crap only exists in romance manga. No matter how faithful and honest a man is, that's an inhuman standard to live up to. What? Hibari, listen. It might sound a little extreme, but no matter how deeply in love a couple is, there's never really a defined reason why they specifically must be together. Even if they believe they were destined to be together, if they search this wide world from corner to corner, they'll find people who look and act just like them. These destined lovers simply happen to meet each other sooner than their doppelgangers did. That's all. It wasn't that I didn't get what they were trying to say, but that only made it more difficult to get past the fear I felt. Just happening to meet someone sooner. If that was the only reason he wanted me, then who could say there wouldn't come someone else later on? Who could say he wouldn't fall for them? The thought of choosing someone only to have them leave me someday, that scares me. I don't think Ichiya would like leave for another woman though. If he had Hibari, he would be satisfied. He wouldn't wander. I fell silent. Naita blinked at me, then squinched his face up in confusion and asked, "Oh, speaking of that, I'm really curious now. You asked Ichiya why it had to be you. But what about you? Do you have a reason why it has to be Ichiya and nobody else, Hibari?" Huh? You want to know his reasons for choosing you, right? If that was your requirement for getting together, I thought for sure you had your reasons and were all ready to tell him. Naita's question was simple, but it made my thoughts come to a screeching halt. Uh-huh. Seems like the thought never even crossed your mind, eh? Hey, babe. You realize that's a titch hypocritical, don't you? He was exactly right. The reason it has to be Ichiya for me, and not anyone else. It was different from my reasons for falling for him. I can list off the things I liked about him, but as for a reason why he had to be my choice, versus the other three guys, I guess. There's a little small sample size here, but... Did I really ask Ichiya to answer a question that I couldn't answer myself? It only then started to dawn on me that I'd cruelly dumped an unanswerable question on Ichiya. I imagined I started to look as desperate as he'd looked last night. I started quivering. The others looked at me. I could see sympathy in their eyes. Miss Hibari, there's little point in overthinking that which has already happened. Spilled milk cannot return to its cup. If you still see some hope in him, let's look back and reorganize your thoughts, alright? Kasuga quickly took control of the situation before gloom could overwhelm this room's atmosphere. Now that we're done with the lectures, with explanations, I presume things are a little clear. If so, answer this. Do you believe you're capable of loving Mr. Mitsumori? It was starting to sink into me that I did in fact probably love Ichiya. Probably. I knew that if I could just say yes to his confession, then all my problems would be solved. But the ball of fear in my chest wouldn't loosen. Unable to handle my rising torrent of emotions, I simply sat, confused, biting down on my lip. Oh, hello. Ichiya! All of a sudden, the man of the hour walked in. Ichiya's eyes slipped away from mine in obviously awkward discomfort. I'm headed out. Sorry, but you're going to have to fend for yourselves for dinner tonight. Whoa, Ichiya! I tried to stop him, but Ichiya didn't pay any attention. He turned and left without another word. Heavy silence settled across the room. I turned down Ichiya's heartfelt confession. I had no right to say anything against him leaving. And yet, I couldn't deny the shock I felt when he turned his back on me. Oh, these poor children. Night fell and Ichiya was still gone. Uh-oh, wait, we're gonna run out of time if they keep avoiding each other. What am I supposed to do now? I was sure that the others were exasperated with me for rejecting Ichiya after all we'd been through. Anyone would feel the same way. It wasn't as if he'd done anything wrong. It was all on me, because I couldn't let myself trust his feelings for me. I was weak because I was afraid of a future where he might leave me. So I hesitated to make that final commitment. He said he was weak and he had a bad habit of running from his problems. But that's true for me too. I need to apologize to Ichiya. He deserves that much. But I hadn't the first idea how he would respond. In the worst case, he would finally be done with my indecisiveness and he'd leave me for good. And yet, I can't just ignore him when he's hurt. I thought it over, then took out my phone and sent him a whiz message. But right then... Oh. It's me, miss. May I come in? Kasuga? Oh, yes, you may. He walked into my room. He too was holding his phone. When he realized I was holding mine, he sighed and looked at me. Mr. Mitsumori has gotten in touch with me. He informs me that he will be formally moving out of this house. Wait, he's gonna give up? I could barely believe what I heard. What? Kasuga, what are you talking about? This isn't a good time for jokes. I was just about to. It is no joke, and it will not do you any good to try and get in touch with Mr. Mitsumori anymore. You can't. I'm told that in order to prevent himself from ever trying to contact us again, he has thrown out his old phone and purchased a new one. What? No! He wouldn't have! I hurriedly brought up Ichiya's number from my contacts and pressed call. There's no answer. There wasn't even a ring. He's not even gonna, at the final hour, he's just gonna, no, bye. Still unwilling to believe it, I tried to send a whiz message, but I was blocked. The message failed to send. Why? I stared at my phone in confusion. Kasuga was blunt. Considering his earnest confession was rejected, this seems like a natural conclusion, doesn't it? After all, you snipped his last thread of hope yourself, Miss Hibari. I fell silent under my realization of just how deeply I must have hurt him. All I wanted was to apologize to him, but it looked like I wouldn't even get to do that. The way you look right now puts me in the mind of the way you were when you were little. You look like someone who has lost everything that was precious to them. Kasuga. Kasuga had known me since I was a little child. He might know why I couldn't bring myself to reach out to Ichiya. I looked at him, my confusion plain. He said, I need some water. As long as you cannot understand what it is you truly want, you'll simply revert to the way you were before you met me. Before I met him. Before I could ask for clarification, he bowed and walked out of my room. He didn't attempt to console me. He didn't lecture me over my incompetence. Kasuga simply spoke as if he were admonishing a clueless child. But there was something in what he said that was worthy of reflecting upon. I began to think. I had been 5 years old when I was taken in by the Tojo family. The evil bunny plush. I got like something stuck in my throat. A little tickle. Grandfather was so busy that I rarely had time to meet with him. Those few moments we did have together were always tense. The servants who looked after me either treated me like I was made of glass or attempted to curry favor. Having no one I could trust, I instead stifled my emotions so that no one could hurt me further. My only moments of joy were the rare occasions when grandmother's personal chef, Sumiko, would make meals for me. Never really heard much about, like, grandmother. I'm guessing, would that be Takamune's, like, wife? I'm guessing she's out of the picture. But no matter how much I enjoyed those meals, I never asked to have her cook for me. She was grandmother's chef, not mine. Even at that young age, I knew that she would never be someone just for me. But then, when I was 9, I met Kasuga. That was the day I finally found somebody who was mine alone. At first, I was certain Kasuga would leave me one day, though he insisted he wouldn't. But all the other servants who had cared for me had eventually left. So I rebelled against him. I ignored him and acted out, never trying to get to know what he was like. But after a certain event one day, I finally opened my heart to him. I took the hand he held out to me and made the effort to get to know him better. Its true circumstances had given me a good reason to close him off. But why had I decided to let him in after wrapping myself in solitude for so long? Well, because I was so lonely, I just couldn't take it anymore. Thinking back on it, maybe anyone in my position would have done the same thing. Like a person dying of thirst, you know? Even if it had been someone besides Kasuga who approached me and said the things that needled all the way down to the center of my heart. Maybe I would have opened up to them too. Really, he simply happened to meet me first. I was starting to understand. Kasuga had given me a hint, and I think I knew why. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, thinking on Ichiya. He had experienced loneliness and solitude, much like my own while growing up. Ichiya had been a black sheep. He told me himself that to escape his crushing loneliness, he turned to women and tried to carve out a place to belong with them. But even through all that, he never found someone who will stand by him. Even the lady he said he thought about marrying had rejected the idea of being his one and only. How desperately lonely did that rejection make him feel? It had probably been overwhelming. He's just like me. It didn't matter who offered love, just as long as the promise was there. As long as someone made that promise to him, promised him a place to belong, he might not need me. But You smiled at me and accepted me for who I am, even when my own family rejected me. You said that you liked me for myself. No one had ever said that or done that for him before. I was the first who'd given that to him. Hibari, I love you from the bottom of my heart. You're kind and gentle, but you can be measured and stern when the situation calls for it. You knew just as well as I did, if not more, how much courage it took to offer yourself to someone and ask that they take your hand. I'm begging you to be my wife. Please, please let me be your husband. You could have chosen anyone, yes, but when he decides a particular person is the one for him, then he swears that he'll love and care for that person and never let them go. I could never betray the person who had pulled me up from the depths of loneliness. It simply wasn't possible. Then what about Ichiya? How could I say that he'd be any different? If I did, wouldn't that be the same as denying everything about myself, too? I knew it. Kasuga always knows exactly what to say. I thought back on Ichiya's blank expression and suddenly had to fight the urge to cry. I know my answer now. All that's left is to find my courage. I knew that was easier said than done. Even knowing my answer, I still wasn't confident that I had what it took to push past my fear of abandonment. What's more, Ichiya had already left. Now we gotta find Ichiya. If I could see him again, what could I say? What do I need to do if I want to see him again? There is so much more I needed to think about. I've supplied the bare minimum necessary information. If this doesn't change things, then I suppose there's nothing more to be done beyond accepting that this was her fate. Okay, Kasuga. A weird aside there. Alright, same familiar plane cleared. Alright, what about this chapter? The will to give up everything. Stuck between love for me and fear of rejection, Ichiya goes to vent his anger at Kasuga. Oh boy, fighting words here. Sway this event. Does it have to be me? That one phrase stuck a dagger in my heart. Are you sure that you aren't just looking for someone, anyone, to love and accept you? I had no idea what she was saying to me. If another woman happened to see you when you're vulnerable and still accepts you for it, how could she say that? If she was nicer than me and cared even more than me, who could do that? Are you sure you wouldn't pick her instead? That would never happen. Then, why does it have to be me? It isn't really, right? What could possibly make her think like that? I couldn't get a wink of sleep. I hoped I was just dreaming. I prayed I was in a nightmare I could wake up from. But what happened last night wasn't something I could just wake up from and put behind me. I just don't know. I've thought and thought about it. But I just don't know what answer she wants. The dreaded why me question had come up in my relationships more than once. I love you because you're you. Our love doesn't mean anything if it's not you. Because you're destined to be the one for me. I'd answer something along those lines and they'd always been satisfied to hear it. How many destined lovers have I found at this point? Just thinking about it makes me feel like a moron. I was such an idiot. But that had always been the right answer. Many women wanted to be absolutely certain that they were their lover's one and only. At first, I made painfully sure to treat their question with utmost sincerity, hunting for exactly the right words to put them at ease. When I gradually realized that they were looking for actions, not just words, I learned an immediate hug would wipe their budding worries away. Oh god. It's like his way of learning. Dismissing their concerns as baseless or taking too long to find words never yielded positive results. When the question came up, I simply gave them a reassuring smile and wrapped my arms around them. Then I whispered sweet nothings in their ear and the problem vanished. And then why couldn't you do that with Hibari though? They'd put him through a loop there. You're mine alone. You're the keeper of my heart. You're more precious to me than all the gemstones in the world. And other schlocky come-ons. Most women's fears were settled by my crooning. Yet, I couldn't say anything. That look in Hibari's eyes. Ichiya, please tell me, why does it have to be me? It was a look unlike any I'd received from a woman. She wasn't asking to be spoiled. She wasn't trying to tease me. It wasn't a test. It was just pure want. Want for proof. Want for a reason. Want for a guarantee for the future. I knew that's what she wanted, and that's why I hesitated. If I'd given her the same empty platitudes I'd used on my girlfriends, it would have been over then and there. In that way, keeping quiet was probably the best idea. But by not answering, I'd also caused Hibari to lose faith in me. That was undeniable. I wonder what she's doing right now. Last night, neither of us had said a word on the long trip back home. I'd gone straight to my room when we'd gotten back, so I had no idea what she'd done. But I was sure she was hurt. I didn't need anyone to spell that out for me. What do I do now? Should I go see her right away and try to patch things up? But how? What could I say to her when I didn't have the answers she wanted to hear? And if she denied me again? I can't. A cold shiver ran down my spine. I just can't. Approaching her now would be... I can't do it. My phone started to jingle. I reached for it and looked at this caller ID. Oh, hello. It's Shion. Taiga and Nayata just went to pry Hibari out of her room. A discussion will follow. I think it's your turn next. God, how come this rabble comes up with the most violent and dangerous solutions to the problems? The image of Shion's thin smile popped in my mind. This was a threat. Ugh, please don't. I really don't want to be around her like this. Not right now. But when that lot pledged to do something, they always went through with it. I learned that once already. I know. They were just worried for me in their own way. I just wasn't so blind that I couldn't see their concern. Staying cooped up in my room didn't solve anything. I didn't have the time to waste either. I'm tired of getting down on my knees and kissing the floor, begging for her heart. If it was going to become impossible to avoid her, I'd almost rather move out straight away. Despite the urgency of my thoughts, it was still a while before I could muster up the energy to do anything. After hesitating for a long time, I finally gave in and made my way to the living room, where everyone was waiting for me. Oh. Ichiya! The second I stepped into the room, my eyes met Hibari's. Almost immediately. Ichiya, please tell me. I wrenched my eyes away from her. I couldn't be here. Not when she was here. I'm headed out. Sorry, but you're gonna have to fend for yourselves for dinner tonight. Whoa, Ichiya! I was scared. Really scared. Terrified. I just can't. I understand in my mind that it's fine, but I just can't look at Hibari right now. I dashed back to my room, got changed, and left. The whole time, I hated myself for being so pathetic. I always chose to run away in the end. There was a strong possibility that I'd never be able to drag myself back to the house. But even with that possibility gnawing at the back of my mind, I still hit the gas. It's all over, isn't it? Everything. Kazuya's plan had worked. The deadline was looming, and we didn't have much time left. That's why I gathered up every ounce of my courage to confess to her. But it didn't work. I drove through town, which was decorated for Christmas. All the bright lights and tinsel somehow seemed menacing. If only I had more time. Just a little more time. But no. Of course Kazuya had to butt in and mess things up. I knew I was just unloading on him. But everything was a disaster, and the only person on whom I could project my resentment was him. Oh, okay, you're gonna go fight with your brother. A part of me was clearly getting beyond desperate. I mean, coming to see him of all people. This is all your fault. Well, well, an unexpected guest. Kazuya. I'm technically on the clock right now, you know. I'd rather not waste my time on personal matters, so make this quick. He was as calm and collected as always. My sudden visit didn't shake him at all. His laconic reaction stoked my feelings of guilt and inferiority that much higher. That was unfair, Kazuya! The exclamation slipped from my mouth before I knew it. Unfair? What was unfair? Don't play innocent with me. You know what I mean. Christmas Eve! You said this would be a fair fight, but then you snared her by manipulating the opinions of the Tojo branch families and the media. I didn't bother hiding how upset I was. Kazuya just rolled his eyes and sighed. There's nothing crooked about taking the best course of action to reach one's goals. Yeah, yes, there is. Besides, you of all people would know what kind of tactics I'd use in this instance. Don't tell me you didn't prepare any countermeasures. Well, that aside, I have no idea what in the world this is all about. What did you come here to accomplish? Hell if I knew. I just hurt a lot, and I had nowhere else to vent. Hell, isn't this all his fault anyway? I know, he's trying to ensnare a high school student, like... if we can, phrase it this way, clearly he's bad guy. I stood there speechless, my shoulders heaving. After a moment, Kazuya looked up at the ceiling and thought. Then a light bulb flicked on in his head, and he said the worst possible thing. Don't tell me. Hibari officially turned you down. It wasn't official, it's just more need more time to gather feelings. The words stabbed me into me like hot daggers, and I flinched. A movement the ever-observant Kazuya didn't miss. He knew he'd hit the mark. He wasn't completely heartless, though. A conflicted look crossed his face, and he fell silent. But when he looked back up at me, his eyes were full of disappointment. I see. So you came here to unload, so you're dumping the blame on my back. Honestly, that's a bad habit you could really stand to fix. No, that's not why I came here. Don't try to deny it. The only way you know how to deal with your problems is to run from them. Unlike you create problems. Whenever you wanted the same things, you never put up a fight. You just give it to me and settle for something else. But the other day, when you actually stood up for what you wanted and picked a fight with me, I have to admit, I was almost impressed. But in the end, here we are. I was a fool for even getting my hopes up about you. Kazuya's criticism was harsh, but I couldn't say a word against him. He was entirely correct. Now, is everything out of your system? Please leave. There's much to be done before Christmas Eve party. I have a lot of work to do. He wasn't even looking at me anymore. Unlike you, Ichiya. There was nothing left to do but shuffle out of his office. I was the most miserable man on the planet. My feet carried me out of the building and along the street. My mind was lost in a fog. It was like I'd gone back to those depressing days after I'd been adopted by the Mitsumori family, when I couldn't muster the energy to do anything. This was supposed to be my one last chance to push past the emptiness in me. I thought I'd finally found the one person who I really loved and who would love me back. This wasn't the first time I'd been turned down. This was definitely the first time I'd felt so heartsick over it. The other girls had all looked guilty about having to let me go, and I'd had enough emotional confidence to smile and tell them not to worry about me. I even had it in me to say that I hoped they would find happiness with their new boyfriend. But now I wasn't sure I could bounce back. My chest felt like it was being squeezed to a pulp. My head throbbed dully. I felt dizzy. It was hard to breathe. I love you so much. Just thinking how it could all be over now. It hurts so badly. I feel like I'm dying. All of a sudden, I realized people were staring. No surprise. The sight of a man wandering zombie-like through the midday streets would indeed attract gawkers. And some of the onlookers were women. Women whose eyes lit up with obvious interest. They're like vultures. They're gonna pick up this sad man. This sad, handsome man. I should get back to my car. I wanted nothing to do with any woman besides her. Eventually, I reached my car. I opened the door and slid down into the driver's seat when... The tears started to fall and I couldn't stop them. I felt so incredibly miserable. It was kind of funny in a twisted way. I guess in the end, my only real talents were running and crying. Hibari. 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 I really, really loved you. Why couldn't I get that across to her? A reason why it had to be her and no one else. The fact she wanted to know that suggested she still had her doubts. She couldn't confidently believe that I wouldn't someday let my heart be stolen by some other woman. Not that that would ever really happen. But it was what I'd done in my life that made her think that. The choices I'd made. The things I said. The weakness I couldn't overcome. All the other girls you dated, did you let them make all the decisions too? Please, tell me who you came here with before. Did you tell her the same things that you told me? How the city lights and stars pale in comparison? She's different from any other woman I've known. I can say that for sure. But I don't know how to prove it to her. On that night I labeled our last date, I admitted my love as plainly as possible. It was the first time in my life I'd ever been so open and honest. My confession had tumbled from me in clumsy, halting words. It wasn't exactly the coolest moment of my life, but those words were the best I could manage. And they didn't reach her. They weren't enough to make her believe me. If they weren't, what else could I say? What else could I give that would make her believe me? How could I make her understand how much I loved her? I just don't know. I'm just going to lose to Kazuya again, aren't I? I was stupid for someone as pathetic as me to ever believe I could protect Hibari's heart. I want to marry for love. The moment I gave up was the moment that Hibari's future was set in stone. What value was there in a man who knew something like that but still couldn't bring himself to act? My phone buzzed where it sat on my dashboard. Was it Shion and the others? Or Hibari? No, it couldn't be. Terrified of which name I'd see, my trembling hand reached out and grabbed the phone. Oh, it's Kasuga. I've heard the situation. Pardon me for interrupting your moment of agonizing heartbreak, but clarify your position. Position? The message was short, businesslike. Classic Kasuga. My face froze. I made myself read on. If you are giving up on pursuing Hibari, tell me as soon as you can. She will need time to prepare herself before she is shackled to a loveless marriage. It was blunt. Too blunt. Yes, it was something that Kasuga, who always put his mistress first, would say, but it actually managed to bring my unraveling nerves back under control. This isn't like him. Not really. I couldn't deny it was something he would say. But would he really go out of his way to get approval from a man he regarded as a runaway coward? Why did he send me this? And he's like trying to spurn you. One last spurn to action here, maybe? Like, you want to save Hibari, right? I stared at the screen thinking. After a moment, I felt a surge of courage and typed a reply. If I say I'm not giving up. It was a gamble of sorts. He was definitely not someone I could call an ally. But I could say with 100% certainty that he would always be on Hibari's side. The reply came back moments later. If you are willing to give up everything you have, there might be a way after all. Everything? My brow furrowed as I stared at the screen. I wasn't sure I knew what he was getting at. That wasn't the end of Kasuga's message, though. He kept going. If you can't bring yourself to, then perhaps you should withdraw while you can. But until you find your determination, I will not permit you to return to this house. I forbid any contact with Hibari as well. That is all. Wait, this is Kasuga's doing. He didn't... Again, Hibari was willing to, like, bridge the gap. Kasuga, what are you doing? As I read, I started to see a faint hope glowing between the lines in his message. Until you find the determination. Flip that around. If I could just find the determination, then everything would work. Kasuga was Hibari's greatest ally, and he still hadn't given up on me. My heart had been on the verge of breaking, but that thought alone was enough to mend it back together. I flipped open the contacts menu on my phone, scrolled to Hibari's entry, then blocked her number. Rip, that's harsh. I needed to stifle the last tendrils of weakness in me. I pressed the off switch and tossed my phone to the back seat. I had to admit that doing that made me feel a lot better. I really have nothing left to lose. Could I throw everything away for her? I thought I'd done as much ages ago, but it had become apparent that I was still clinging to my flaws. I didn't want her to hate me. I didn't want her to abandon me. I didn't want to even want to imagine a reality that was where that was possible. In some corner of my mind, I'd still been cowering. I'd still been making excuses to keep from getting hurt. Kasuga had just told me to throw away that last shadow of myself. There would be no other way to win Hibari's heart if I didn't. Ha! It was cruel. Horrible, terrible, and cruel. I mean, tearing my heart into ribbons just for the opportunity to grasp at love. And being told that I still hadn't done enough. Screw it. But I still loved her despite it all. I wanted Hibari. I wanted her no matter what it took. Then to hell with it all. This time, she would literally kill me. Wait, what? And the minute I realized that, I knew exactly what I wanted. I finally had my answer. Wait, what? Is he gonna do something stupid? That would cause Hibari to, like, literally want to kill him. Okay. Oh. Finally at the big piece on the board. Oh god, I can, like, argue the description. It looks like it's gonna get weird. But we're gonna save it for next time. Alright, let's save. Okie doke. Jeez, these poor people. This situation is like not what they should be in. Like they're under duress here to get everything done by Christmas. Alright, anywho, need a little break. Got like a little itchiness in the back of my throat. Hopefully not getting sick, but... Alright, hope you guys are having a fun and relaxing time. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.